Chronicle Vault presents Genghis Khan, how a slave forged an empire and created a nation. In the heart of 12th century Asia, under an endless blue sky, lay a land of brutal beauty. The vast Mongolian steppes rolled like a sea of grass, a stage for a relentless cycle of survival. This world knew no Mongolia. It was a chaotic mosaic of nomadic tribes, Tatars, Karaites, Naimans, Merkits, living and dying by the rhythm of their herds and their wars. Loyalty was fleeting and life was cheap. Into this chaos, around the year 1162, a boy named Temujin was born near the Onan River. Legend claims he was born clutching a clot of blood in his fist, a sign he was destined to be a great warrior. But his childhood was not one of glory, but of squalor. After his father, a minor chieftain, was poisoned by rival Tatars, his own clan abandoned the family. Left to die on the merciless steppe, Temujin, his mother Holun, and his siblings were forced to hunt rats and gather roots to survive. This profound humiliation forged in him an iron will and a deep-seated hatred for the disunity that made his people weak. He learned the steppe's harshest lesson. To be alone is a death sentence. Temujin's rise from obscurity was a masterclass in patience and cunning. His first move was to claim his promised bride, Berta. Her dowry, a luxurious black sable coat, became his greatest political asset. He presented it to Togrul Khan, the powerful leader of the Karaites, and the Anda, or blood brother of his late father, reigniting an old alliance. Fun fact, the Pact of the Anda, blood brother, was one of the most sacred oaths on the steppe. Participants would mix their blood in a drink and swear loyalty to each other until death, a bond considered even stronger than that of birth siblings. The alliance was forged just in time. In an act of old vengeance, the Merkit tribe raided Temujin's camp and kidnapped Berta. Desperation forced Temujin's hand. Calling on the aid of both Togrul and his own childhood Anda, the charismatic warrior Jamuka, he raised an army. Together, they crushed the Merkits and rescued Berta. The victory not only returned his wife, but announced Temujin's arrival as a capable and trustworthy military leader. Warriors began to flock to his side, but his rise created a rift with Jamuka. Their conflict was ideological. Jamuka was an aristocrat, a traditionalist who believed power belonged to the nobility. Temujin, shaped by hardship, was a revolutionary who believed in meritocracy. He rewarded skill and loyalty, not bloodline. This fundamental difference drove them apart, turning blood brothers into arch rivals in a war for the soul of the steppe. The conflict exploded. Jamuka united the disgruntled tribes and had himself elected Gur Khan, or universal ruler, an open declaration of war. Bloody battles ensued. Jamuka's cruelty, at one point boiling captives alive, horrified many and drove more warriors to Temujin's side, who was seen as harsh but fair. Then, betrayal came from the most unexpected source. His adoptive father, Togrul Khan, swayed by his jealous son, laid a trap to kill Temujin. Warned at the last moment, Temujin barely escaped, his army shattered at the Battle of the Sands of Kalakaljid. He had hit rock bottom. Reduced to a handful of followers, he took refuge at the muddy Lake Baljuna. There, in a legendary act of leadership, he and his 19 companions drank the murky water and swore an oath of eternal loyalty. This pact of Baljuna forged a core of followers with an unbreakable bond. With superhuman resilience, Temujin regrouped his forces and, in a surprise attack, annihilated Togrul's Karaites, absorbing their tribe and their power. The final obstacle was the mighty Naiman Confederation, which had given refuge to Jamuka. In 1204, at the Battle of Mount Naku, Temujin's military genius was on full display. He used psychological warfare, ordering each soldier to light 5 campfires to make his army appear massive, and brilliant tactics, like the feigned retreat to encircle and annihilate the Naimans. Jamuka fled, only to be betrayed by his own men and delivered to Temujin. In their final meeting, Jamuka refused reconciliation and asked for a noble, bloodless death. Temujin granted his request, having his former brother's back broken, a tragic end to the age of tribal anarchy. With all his enemies defeated, Temujin called a Kurultai, a great assembly of chiefs, in 1206. There he was proclaimed Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. The Mongol nation, Yeke Mongol Ulus, was officially born. He wasted no time in cementing his new state. Fun fact, Genghis Khan created the Yasa, a secret written code of law. It forbade betrayal, theft, and kidnapping, and it established religious freedom and environmental protections. It was a capital crime to pollute rivers. The law applied to everyone, including himself, uniting the nation under a single standard of justice. This internal peace, the Pax Mongolica, unleashed a formidable energy. The nation's focus turned outward. First, he subjugated the Xixia kingdom, where his nomadic warriors mastered the brutal art of siege warfare. He then turned on the mighty Jin dynasty in China, a war of revenge for his people's long humiliation. In 1215, he conquered the capital, Zhongdu, modern-day Beijing, and in a stroke of pragmatic genius, recruited its engineers and administrators to strengthen his own empire. His most terrifying expansion was to the west. After the Khwarezmian Empire, in modern-day Persia, murdered his ambassadors, Genghis Khan unleashed a punitive invasion of apocalyptic fury. In a brilliant and terrifying campaign, he crossed supposedly impassable deserts to strike the enemy from behind, razing legendary cities like Samarkand and Bukhara. The Islamic world was shaken to its core. Did you know? Communication across the vast Mongol Empire was powered by the Yam, an incredibly efficient postal relay system. A network of stations allowed messengers with a special passport to get fresh horses on the fly, enabling them to cover over 200 miles a day, a speed unheard of in the pre-industrial world. The rise of the Mongol nation was a paradox. It brought untold destruction, but it also connected the world. The Pax Mongolica made the Silk Road safe, allowing an unprecedented flow of goods, ideas, and technology between East and West. Genghis Khan died in 1227, his tomb never to be found. But his legacy was immortal. He gave his people a name, an identity, and the largest contiguous land empire in history. The slave boy, born into a world of chaos, had imposed his will upon the world, forging a nation from the dust of the steppe and forever changing the course of human history.
Subscribe to the Vault of Chronicles channel. Stories you've never heard, every day here.